Good evening, White Sox fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Future Sox podcast, Hot Takes and Heaters. The date today is January 28th, and we are nearing, we're basically nearing spring camp here. And the White Sox have had a very interesting and exciting offseason. My name is Danny Miller. My co-host, as always, tonight is the illustrious Jacob Thome. How you doing tonight, Jake?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. I think that's my answer
Alright.
every freaking week, but that's what
You're
we're
a busy,
going with.
busy man. I get it.
Yeah.
I know you spent some time with Todd Welter of Locked On Sox yesterday. If our listeners and our viewers have not had an opportunity to check that out, they had a great conversation. Talked about Dominguez. They talked about Chris Getz. They talked about the overall all-season outlook and kind of where the money is going and just the general direction of things. If you guys are into that kind of thing, it seems to be pretty much the big subject of the off-season so far this year. Go check that out. I thought Jake had some really interesting points as well as Todd. So
Appreciate it.
yeah. Yeah, man. It was a good show, dude. I think you guys nailed it. I watched it. I thought it was very interesting, and it highlighted probably pretty much the way I have felt for the better part of the off season. I know I've made some of my takes, you know, a little. I've been a little more verbal about certain takes than others, and I have my reasons for that. But I just want to put it out there that I when I piss and moan about the Robert trade, it has nothing to do with trading Luis Robert or picking up Luis Angel Acuna.
Yeah.
It's just about where we stand after 45 plus years of ownership under Jerry Reinsdorf, and it ends there. So,
Yeah.
anywho, if you guys caught the tweet that I put out this evening, we are going to have a special show tonight, and we are bringing on a special guest. It is Future Sox's rising star. He is one of our he's one of the bloggers. He's been featured on a couple of the podcasts already. This kid's pumping out amazing work, amazing written content fairly regularly. And what I'll say about this is, Future Sox, what it lacks in quantity as far as some of the other outlets just throwing stuff out there every day. Our guys that are writing for us are putting together quality, and Adrian White is a big part of that here as of late. So we're just gonna go ahead and give a nice warm welcome to Adrian, and we're gonna go ahead and bring him in right now. Oh boy, that's not.
Ooh.
Here we go. I got you, buddy.
Oh,
No,
Oh.
no,
You do
we're
have.
gonna fix this. Technical difficulties.
I'm big.
There you go.
You are
I'm sorry.
big.
He's in the corner.
I'm not really quite sure.
Nobody
happened.
puts Adrian in a corner.
Sorry about
Apparently
that. Guys.
Danny
I don't know if
does.
that's on my end.
We're gonna fix this. Don't worry, bud. I apologize for the technical
No,
difficulty,
all good.
guys.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate all the really kind words. It's been really awesome being a part of Future Sox and everything like that. And, love listening to you guys and everything. So happy to finally be a part.
Oh, come on now.
Appreciate-
My window. Here we go. Nope. You don't wanna work with me today, huh?
We need the Jeopardy theme song. This is what needs to fill this. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Good old technical difficulties.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear
I can hear
you.
you great.
Oh,
It's
that's good, at
basically my ridiculous self for not being prepared for having your window chopped up and put in. But
I mean, I'm hearing
Oh,
it. As long as you guys can hear me, I guess that's good for podcasting at least.
well, while I'm doing this, Jake or Adrian, why don't you go ahead and let our audience know who you are? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about how it came to be for you to cover baseball and your journey here at Future Sox.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I guess right around this time, Todd Walter, who Jacob was just on with, he had an advertisement on the 108 about adding writers to Southside Showdown. So I've been, an enjoyer of Future Sox for a long time, and a lot of the other podcasts because I think like White Sox especially do a really good job of covering it, especially, and got really into it, and started doing articles for them. And then James had reached out and wanted me to get a little bit more involved. And, since then I've been helping out with social media. I've been helping run the Twitter a little bit, and moved all my stuff over to Future Sox eventually. And, really excited to finally be a part of everything. I've really enjoyed all the content that Future Sox has been pushing out for a long time. So I'm really, really happy to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jake, did you have something to say?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been really involved with everything. I mean, what have you kind of taken away from this off season? Is obviously we're what 7/8 of the way through the off season here, and what's been your biggest takeaway, and what are you excited for the season?
I definitely didn't expect I guess the volume of good moves, if that makes sense. I was expecting a lot more underlying moves that made sense, like the Murakami and the Strand Dominguez. I don't know if I expected us to be like in that realm of free agency, so it's really nice to be kind of in that realm of excitement. And like I think we tweeted on Future Sox the other day. Jeff Passan and Feinstead had tweeted out that we were a part of like the breakout teams potentially, or teams that have had won the offseason, which I don't think I would necessarily characterize it like that. I think when they write articles like that, they more mean like in the perception of what you were expected to do. And I think in that sense, yeah, I think this offseason has definitely been a win in my book.
Huge shout out to Wolf Larson. I want to get to this real quickly. Hot take: McDougal will grab a rotation spot and keep it all year, much like Shane Smith did. Go Sox! Thank you, Wolf. Yeah, love the take. I think he's a guy who can certainly make the rotation of camp. I think you start looking at this rotation, and there's certainly some interesting pieces there. It's kind of a cluster of players who kind of are going to either make it out of camp prospect wise or going to return from last year in terms of like Sean Burke, Davis Martin, some of those guys. But Danny, I'm not mildly impressed. I'm very impressed with your computer skills here. You are almost,
You know what?
almost
You
there.
you can shove the sarcasm right where the sun don't shine.
I was being so serious.
I was
Are you really?
At all.
I am doing this on a laptop with
That's
just
why I'm
the
impressed.
laptop mouse. I do not have an actual standalone mouse, so this is it's a little interesting. Would have been a lot easier if I actually had my remote mouse, but I don't. So it is what it is, man. We're gonna make it work one way
I think
or
it looks
the other.
good. I think it looks good.
I mean, I guess that's about as good as it's gonna get. We're gonna go with that. You're gonna be double nameplated tonight, and we're just gonna work with that. So
go follow, man. I guess.
Always interesting here at Future Sox. Not to run over old stuff, but Ian and I, obviously started working together. I mean, it feels like ages ago now. Yet at the same time, it feels like just yesterday. But Ian and I started working together with a group called the Chicago Dugout, and we were the podcasters for the Southside edition. We had guys that covered both the Cubs and the Sox. And I got to tell you, man, technical difficulties was a thing for us for a long time, even going into when we moved on from that and did White Sox Daily. And, man, I got to tell you, dude, was not expecting this today, but it keeps you on your toes. So it's fun stuff, man.
For sure.
All right. So, by the way, I see you guys in the chat. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around some things here.
I haven't
obviously
watched Shameless. I don't know who Carl is, but thank you if that's a compliment.
Actually, I kind of see it. I don't watch the show, but I do know who Carl is, and there is a definite resemblance.
Cool.
So we'll get to some of the comments in the chat, but Wolf Larson with the first super chat of the evening tonight says he's got a hot take. McDougal will grab it. Or is that the one you highlighted already, Jake?
Yeah, that's the one I already read.
Gotcha. Well, I want to go ahead and throw it up on the screen anyway. I'm sorry, I was paying more attention to Adrian and not making him giant on the screen.
I see. Yeah, I just looked it up. I see it. I get it in the hair for sure. I just got a haircut.
So Thanks for that. But yeah, Toss comes in and he immediately, first thing he says tonight, or is it he, she? You know what?
It's a
I
he.
gotta. I've been
I've
wanting to do this.
indirected.
I've been doing this for. I want to do this for a long time with our chatters, and we're actually a little quiet tonight so far. But
Baseball talk always in there.
he on all of our shows,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm just curious, as you know, I know a lot of folks use different screen names in different places, and I'm quite curious to know if I have any idea who any of these people are. I know Toss. I've seen Twitter on Twitter under the same moniker, but some of our other guests, I'm wondering if they are. Do I know who you are? If we interacted outside of this show, like it always makes me wonder. If we interacted on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else, I really don't know. But if you guys are listening, give us a shout out and let us know who you are. Hit me in the DMs if you don't want the whole world to know. Yeah, that would be cool. So, but anyways, Toss said right out of the gate, sign Austin Hayes. And I don't know about you guys. If they're going to sign an outfielder, that's been the one I've been advocating for. I see Jake giving me the double thumbs down over there. So let's hear it, Jake. What's your take on that one?
It's got to be. I don't know. I mean, like the free agent outfield class sucks. I mean, that's kind of what it's been like. I mean, for me, it's either Talkman or Grichuk. Hayes' underlying numbers are bad. He's a platoon bat, which I mean isn't a horrible idea, but would rather have Grichuk, who was really good 2 years ago, had like an 850 OPS. Yeah, in Arizona, but I don't know. The defense is still there. I would much rather have Grichuk, who, I think they're betting more on a bounce back there than Hayes. There's some interesting trade candidates as well. Like I think Nootbaar makes a ton of sense. It was weird. Passan was on 108's podcast, and
Lance.
he started talking about like guys who made or teams that were RSNs that weren't going to have their RSNs, and there's some interesting candidates for those 9 teams. I think Nootbaar is a guy that makes sense. The Cardinals could be moving on from him. He had a really good year last year. The underlying numbers are good. The defense is solid and left. I think he's certainly there. And then like another guy who I think makes a ton of sense is Brady Singer, who's another inning eater guy from Cincinnati. Obviously, the Sox already had trade talks with Cincinnati, as was reported with the Roberts stuff. So, I don't know. I think everybody's in on the signings. Obviously, I think people are pointing towards, hey, we have $10 million to spend, but I don't think it has to be free agents. And I think potentially it makes sense for some of these teams who have RSN issues to trade, and Singer and Nootbaar make a ton of sense for the Sox. I think Singer's hits like 12.5, but I know Nootbaar's right on 7 mil. So,
yeah.
So, you know what, Adrian, I'm going to ask you. Well, go ahead. Say what you got to say. What's on your mind, and then I'll go ahead and ask.
I actually saw, like, to go off what Jacob said, I saw Noah Phelan from Southside Showdown actually tweet something like this, because I don't know if you guys had checked out Chris Getz's interview from the recap with Ryan McGuffey. It was really insightful, like some really good stuff.
Is that the one that happened just this afternoon?
I believe it was recorded probably before the Sir Anthony Dominguez stuff, because he had said, like, in the podcast, I listened today, he said, oh, we're in talks to sign like a good reliever. So they might have filmed it, like what I'm thinking, they might have filmed it and then put it out later. They might have been told to, because he said that, or I don't know. But he had
makes sense.
Yeah, he used like really distinct language when he talked about it, and something like that I've learned just kind of rating with FutureSox and all that kind of stuff is like Chris Getz definitely chooses his words very distinctly, like of what he's going to try to do. I think everybody like didn't believe him when he said he was going to reallocate money. Like when he says he's going to do stuff, he's going to do it, and especially like the language that he used. I don't know specifically. I don't have the quote in front of me, but he said in all the avenues that they could add the outfield, so that didn't put away like trades or like free agents or anything like that. So there's a bunch of different avenues where they can add. Like I wouldn't really love like a Nick Castellanos or something like that, but I know like he's getting shopped around, or like some of the guys Jacob mentioned too. Like so, I think like in particular, like they might be looking in the trade market, like just some of the language that he used.
Yeah, I haven't actually had an opportunity to do that. I was quite busy today. And Ian and I actually spent some time here in the studio, just a few minutes this afternoon. And I know he was listening to that. And that's about as far as I got. I had been meaning to get into that, but it sounds like it was definitely a good listen. So I'll check that out. The I don't know if you guys can see can you see the question on the screen
Yeah.
for you,
Mhm.
Adrian?
Yeah,
All right,
for
so
sure.
GB for real asks Adrian, what do you know about prospect Kevin Roberts Jr.? He says he's obsessed with him.
Yeah, so I definitely there's some varying opinions for sure because I believe he's a two sport and he's committed to Florida. So I don't know if he's gonna go. I believe it's football that he's a two sport, and I believe it's not basketball. I don't know a ton, but he's big limbed. Like he's kind of like the Louis Robert kind of build, where he's kind of big and athletic. And it's super projectable power. He's here in Florida, or not in Florida. He's committed to Florida, so he'll be like here and around. And he's been in all these tournaments around. So I believe I saw him when who was Hunter Pence's nephew or son or whoever it is that throws 100 and something. I went to go see him in a perfect game tournament. I believe he was here as well. Just really raw power. I don't know if he's going to be like a draft guy. I believe like his projection was a first round pick going into the year. He's kind of dropped a little bit, but I mean, we'll definitely see. It's super projectable. So if somebody takes a chance, like I could definitely see it for sure.
He's like Wolko in a way. Like he's got like nuts power. Yeah, he's got.
Yeah, the exit deals are crazy.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of swing in this, but
I was
He's
going to
gonna
say, I
like
know that
legit
there's
hits.
concerns over that there, but
I mean, he's got D1 offers in like 4 sports. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's
So
a nuts athlete. Like that's insane.
yeah, I'm trying to get what his metrics are, what like his height and weight are, because I don't know for sure. Of course, perfect game is not one to work for me. Yeah, he's 6'5", 221, and he's 17 years old. So yeah, definitely projectable to say the least.
Decent frame. I'd tell that. I call that a decent
Decent for
frame.
sure.
Yeah, above average.
really quickly, Tosta also says that Rock Chalowski's mom liked his tweet counting down the days until he plays for the Sox in the future here. What do you guys think of that? You know what? We'll move on to Dominguez here in a little bit. I knew the chat would kind of drive the bus a little bit. I don't want to obviously, you know, our chat has questions, and I don't want to, you know, steer away from that. So I know that I actually retweeted a. Excuse me. I am still just getting over what I had last week. I know. By the way, I'm going to apologize. I sounded absolutely horrible on last week's show. I was like sucking snot half the show and just terrible. So, anybody who listened to that, my apologies. I made myself sicker by listening to myself last week just to go back and check it out, and I was like, oh boy. So, but definitely feeling a lot better. But Joe. Oh God, why am I gonna the prospect guy? And he's been on our shows.
Joe
And I'm
Doyle.
like, thank you. Golly.
Welcome.
Still on meds, by the way. Still
Oh, I want to address
cold
something from Joe
medicine.
Doyle too. It popped in my head. But go
Yeah.
ahead with Ben.
Well, so Joe Doyle put out an article in the last couple days saying that he believed that Rock was not going to be the first pick in the draft. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on who he said it was or you know why. And the reason being is because it is my belief. I feel like it is a fair assessment that there's a chance that Rock is not the number one pick if we are going off of historically what happens from the end of one offseason until draft day, and you know who is typically considered the consensus one or two, and what happens, you know, at draft day and how guys kind of fall. You know, things happen. You never know. Like meteors fall from the sky or whatever it is. You know, I don't want to say anything else because I don't want to put the bad juju on anybody. But what do you guys think of the possibility of Rock not being the number one? We'll start with Adrian, our guest tonight.
For sure. Thanks, I appreciate it. I had the tweet in the draft, so I was actually planning on putting it out tomorrow because I don't have access to the whole story, so I don't have all the points that Joe Doyle had put up. But he's great. Like I definitely enjoy all the stuff he's put out. I should definitely subscribe and read it, and all his rankings and all that stuff. But something just like my perception of it, like when you're comparing a lot of these prospects, at least from like listening in the past couple of years, like the SEC performance really, really matters. And so if they have comparable years, like I'm gonna tweet probably the exact words tomorrow. But like if they have comparable years, they're especially at the top of the draft. If Justin LeBron does comparable to what Rock Chalowski does in the SEC, especially because the Big Ten was a little slept on as a conference, that's going to be compared, and I think that's going to be like the main saying point. Like, oh, well, he did this in the SEC, and if he improves, especially if he improves in the SEC, I can definitely see like the comparison just being nonstop.
Jake, any thoughts?
Yeah, the issue that like Rock has is like the draft class is loaded. Like it is stacked. I mean, yeah, I think everyone else bring up Justin LeBron, but like the prep guys are insane. You have Brady Emerson, who's like really good. He'd be number one last year, I think. It's not. Is it Jacob Lombard? Yeah, because George is his brother. Like Jacob's kind of interesting, and like they also have Drew Burris, who like is insane, but like the athlete's not there. He's an outfielder. Um, LeBron's kind of interesting too because I think you look at the athleticism that he's got. The athletic profile is better. Yeah, like the hit tool is what needs to change. Like the hit tool has to improve for LeBron. But like he was projected to be the number one overall pick last year until he hit SEC play. Talking a little bit about what Adrian said, like until he hit SEC play, he was going to be the number one guy. Like they're really close. And I think if you're going to take a guy like LeBron could be a center fielder. Like you could move him to the outfield if you needed to, just because of obviously the middle infield cluster that this team has. Like he's a more projectable outfielder if you needed to move him. So I don't think LeBron. I mean, I talked about this yesterday on Lockdown, but like I don't think it's a guarantee that Rocco's one. Like I put it like 80%, but like I think there's a 20% chance that like someone else is number one in 26.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought is, right now, if we were to draft today, it's 100% Rock. But the crazy thing is that between now and draft day there is an entire NCAA baseball season. And, God forbid anything happens where, these guys miss time for whatever reason. Sometimes guys just they go into a slump, they fall off. Maybe they have something off field that affects their game. We don't. Tim Anderson, we saw had some issues early on in his career with a friend. Just things can happen, right? We could go down the list of things that could change a trajectory really quickly, and it's just common for that consensus number one to change, but. We're also talking about a guy who's been tapped as the greatest prospect profile in like the last 20 years, right? Comparables are insane, and I've heard Troy Tulowitzki and I've heard Dansby Swanson. I've heard all kinds of different comparables for him, all guys that were more than serviceable players, right? And it's difficult to see him not being in that number one spot as of now, but things can change. And before we move on, I did actually want to highlight not one but two of Uncle Ted's comments here. First one he says is great, another right-handed shortstop, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put these up back to back because the next one he follows up with dealing with Boris will be fun. So as far as the right-handed shortstop, Ted is. Obviously, the White Sox and most of baseball, the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 years, have gone towards drafting the athlete over position, it seems. We saw a run of shortstops in the last two drafts, specifically last year's draft, really had a run of just shortstop after shortstop after shortstop, all profiling for high athletic value. And I think the thinking is that you can take that athlete and turn them into a position player pretty much anywhere on the diamond. So I'm not really concerned over that. And then you know what? I'll let you guys take the Boris thing because I know what I want to say about it. But Jake, why don't we go ahead and start with you? Let's talk about dealing with Boris out of a draft.
I mean, yeah, it's not really. I mean, out of the draft, it's not a concern. I think the extension part's an issue. But Hopefully, by the time he has to sign an extension, Jerry Reinsdorf will not be the owner of the Chicago White Sox, and that won't be an issue. I don't know. I would assume Ishbia has never talked to Boris, although I don't know. Like, that might be a connection they have. It wouldn't shock me. But yeah, certainly, like, I get it. Like, Boris sucks. Like, he's really, I shouldn't say sucks. He's a fantastic agent. Like, he's the best agent, and that just sucks. But, like, it's going to be interesting because of the new ownership. Like, there's a new, from what I understand, Reinsdorf and Boris hate each other. Reinsdorf doesn't have a lot of friends in baseball, from
Why?
what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, like, they haven't dealt. I don't know how many Boris clients they've dealt with recently. I know Luis was one. I know some of their pitchers were Boris
Which
guys,
they
but
did actually get an extension done for Luis at one
yeah,
point.
like, it's
So
not totally impossible for them to get an extension done. I mean, I don't know, but you can't avoid it. I would, and I think, like, every top guy goes to Boris anyway. So I don't know.
seems that way most of the time. Not every, but I would probably say it's 85 to 90%. Yeah, I think the stigma around Boris is one that White Sox fans like to hang on to because of what you hear in the media, what you see in written form. But the reality is it wouldn't be the first time that the White Sox have dealt with Boris. We've had many Boris clients on this team, and quite frankly, it hasn't really been an issue to this point. I think it's more of an issue when it comes down to free agency for the White Sox in dealing with Scott Boras and trying to sign one of his clients because there is that rumor of a little bit of strife between Boras and Jerry Reinsdorf in the White Sox front office, for obvious reasons. But the reality is when there's a player that's already in the organization, it's because they've decided to make Boris their agent before draft day comes around. And the White Sox are not going to not draft a guy because of who his agent is, especially when we're talking about top tier, number one overall pick in the draft type players that could change your franchise in a fairly quick way. So, Adrian, did you have any thoughts on Scott Boras and the White Sox?
So I actually went to the winter meetings because they were in Orlando. So I'm down in Florida, actually, in West Palm. So it was a cool trip to meet everybody and stuff like that. So I actually, like, got to go into the Scott Boras media scrum, like, when that was all happening. And then, of course, like, somebody that's not signed with him, like Edwin Diaz and Kyle Schwarber, break at the same time. So there's definitely, like, some animosity there, like, just amongst people to try to, like, steal the thunder. He's doing, like, his poetry on the stand and everything, and everybody's got, like, his big crowner at him. And, like, that was really cool to, like, be a part of. And then, like, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, Edwin Diaz to the Mets. Oh my God, Kyle Schwarber. Like, that part was just really cool. And then, like, you can see, like, how that would conflict with Jerry Reinsdorf pulling up, and everybody is having their, like, there was kind of like this bar, if that makes sense, where, like, all these executives were having dinner and you can kind of just walk back and forth. And there's a security guard with lock and everything on a balcony. He's smoking a cigar with, like, his 6 people. So, like, you can kind of tell how, like, the attention and not attention kind of can get some turmoil in there. And then to the comment above too, like, uh, listening to Chris Getz talk, he pointed out the Padres with the shortstops and everything. I don't think that position should matter when you're drafting right now, especially, like, one of these guys end up being your center fielder probably. Like, just those comments there. I have a piece coming out tomorrow, I believe. Scott Merkin had to get a little quote. Billy Carlson was shagging in Arizona because they're having a training camp there now, and he's like, "Hey man, if worse comes to worse, I'm a center fielder." And, like, I think that's kind of the mindset. Like, if Bonner and Antonacci ends up in left, like, I think some of these infielders are going to end up in the outfield. And I don't really think that shift's bad. Like, to be honest with you, I think that they're prioritizing athleticism to be able to do that.
Perfect. I mean, I know it's been a thing with Sox fans for a long time, and I figured we would just kind of clear the air, especially since Ted brought it up in the chat. And thank you, obviously, guys, for bringing that up. Obviously, when you guys have questions, we try to answer to the best of our ability. We can only tell you what we know, and none of us are, like, in the front office, right?
Yeah.
Adrian being where he was and being able to see that and eyewitness that definitely helps because, you know, we can say looks. You can say looks can be deceiving, but they can also be very telling at times as well too, right? So, uh, I think it's a fair point when you talk about where the attention is and where it isn't. it's it can be quite telling, right? So,
Sure.
let's move on. The Jake has been using a very different tactic for his hot takes and heaters. The last I don't know month and a half or so here, Jake, 2 months.
Yeah, about.
He's had the same hot take almost weekly. He might have missed one or two, and that hot take has been the White Sox signed somebody this week.
Yep.
Stop. Period. Right there. And what happened? The day after we recorded, the very next, or maybe it was 2 days, I don't know, but it's happened like this a lot, where it's like within a day or two something happens. A couple of times it was just a low level minor league deal, or somebody that we're not exactly thrilled about, but there has been a few times he said it for when Murakami was picked up from the international market. He said it when we picked up K for the rotation. He said it when Sean Newcomb was picked up. And now, this last week, Sir Anthony Dominguez has been said to have been signed by the White Sox. It has not been official yet. I would expect an announcement to come soon, within the next day or two. Probably just hammering out details of paperwork, going over medicals, things of that nature, just to make sure that everything's on the up and up. These things usually take a few days anyway. But let's talk about Sir Anthony Dominguez. Jake, since you were the man with this hot take stuff, I want to hear your thoughts on that trade, or I'm sorry, on that signing, and we'll move on to Adrian and see what what he thinks about that as well.
Yeah, I think some of the contract stuff, and I don't know this for certain, but I would almost be curious to see if it's not like how much money they want to put in that first year to eat up the 20 mil. I would assume that's maybe part of it if they have another move coming, potentially to figure that out. But Dominguez as a player is fun, man. You look at, I mean, the walks are going to drive people insane this year. It's going to happen. There's going to be times where the walks become an issue, but like other than that, it's almost flawless. I mean, the stuff is legitimately insane. He misses a ton of bats. The velocity's really good. He's going to be the closer, I would assume. There's been a lot of talk too about like he's going to get traded at the deadline. I'm not sold that he is. I'm not sold that he isn't. I would put it, we'll see how the first half goes, but certainly I think there's a position where he's here this year and then they trade him next year. But I don't really know what that looks like trade-wise, but not a big deal right now. But yeah, I mean, huge signing. It really strengthens the bullpen. I put this on Twitter, but like Sox last year, when leading heading into the fifth inning, won 69% of their games. The league average was 82. So you take that difference, and they would have been a 71-win team last year with a league average bullpen. And like, if you can get that, and I think you start looking at the arms in there, right? Like Newcomb's come along. I think he'll be in the bullpen. They've added Chris Murphy. That was like way early in the offseason, but like he does exist. It's part of this team. And now Dominguez, and now you're expecting these jumps. Leaders had a good last month. Taylor, everybody expects to be fantastic. There's enough pieces here where I think you could have a decent pen. And if you do, I think it'll be a huge driver for the win department. And to add to that quickly, like Sox again are in the position where there's no reason for them to tank. They can't pick higher than 10th. So you can't tank this year. There's no point of it. Again, the highest you can pick is 10th. I would assume it matters, like if you're picking 10th, 11th, or 12th, because there's going to be some other teams, but I don't know if they much care about that.
Adrian, same question. What do you think about Dominguez? What are your thoughts on not only the signing, but his past performance and kind of projections and where he stands with the White Sox?
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect them to kind of be in this realm. I guess they were rumored for like Pete Fairbanks beginning of the offseason. I think there's definitely a better outcome than that. I wrote about it a little bit. If you guys check out the Sir Anthony Dominguez piece, like I definitely think, especially with the finger stuff and all that kind of stuff, I definitely wanted a harder throwing kind of guy, especially to establish kind of that back end. I didn't necessarily. I would have loved like Gregory Soto or something like that if it was a lefty. Because I thought that's what you needed. But then I ended up shining like Sean Newcomb, who could start and kind of be versatile like that. So I think like I wouldn't necessarily sign a righty, but I definitely think it shifts like the rest of your bullpen to better roles. And I'm more excited for how it affects the rest of the bullpen more than like for him, if that makes sense. But I'm still like very excited about him. Like I think the walk numbers, like Jacob said, it's going to be really concerning for some people. And like he didn't close a lot of games last year, so it's going to be a new turn. Like I don't know how many closing opportunities he's going to have necessarily. Like the pitch mix is really nice. He added that splitter. I had tweeted out too that Jordan Leisure's been working on the splitter for like 2 seasons now. And he's been trying to refine it. He's kind of been a 2 pitch reliever. If he can add that pitch and kind of get with Dominguez and add that splitter, that might be the next step for Leisure as well. And kind of like maybe if Dominguez does get traded, you can kind of pass the torch to Leisure or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited about it for sure. Like some really good underlying traits. The walk numbers, like I said, are going to be annoying to a lot of people. But I think it's definitely better than I think what you thought coming in the offseason.
Yeah, and I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I feel like I it's again. I'm going to apologize because I have been on the cold medicine that has had me a little loopy for a week, but I feel like I saw somewhere that yeah, he didn't maybe not had a lot of opportunities last year, but I feel like there was a stat somewhere that said he was 40 for 60 in save opportunities. Does that sound right to you?
All time, yeah, I believe that sounds right.
Yeah.
I didn't write that or anything like that. Like, I didn't verify that or anything, but I definitely think like he's had a bunch of like he's had a long career as well. So like he had a couple opportunities like with the Phillies and all that kind of stuff when they weren't like as good as they were now. He kind of got a couple opportunities with them as well. So I guess yeah, that can accumulate.
He was really good in high leverage too last
Yeah,
year. I mean, you start looking like the high leverage numbers, like they're really good if you ignore the World Series. But yeah, other than that, like it looked really good last year in high leverage, which obviously you're hoping your closer is good in high leverage.
yeah.
I
He's
don't think
close.
we're worried about the big stage as of just yet with the White Sox. When we talk about ignoring World Series numbers, but I, for one, am actually just happy to know that at least to start the season, the White Sox have what they consider to be their closer for now. At least it sounds that way.
Mhm.
I particularly am not just a big fan of the closer by committee that we've seen the last, 3 or 4 years here. We really haven't had a high leverage back end bullpen arm in probably 4 years. We go back to like the Aussie for like one season before the lymphoma kicked his ass. We had a couple of guys who seemed like they were past their prime. Actually turned out to be pretty good for the White Sox, but it's been quite a while since the White Sox have had a high leverage guy in the bullpen at the back end. And I don't know the numbers, but I know that there's a lot of people that will probably agree with me on this and remember that it just felt like when the White Sox had a lead late in games, and I know you brought up the number from the fifth inning beyond, Jacob, earlier, and being at what was it, 59%?
Yeah.
I feel like even later in games that number might have been worse. There were times when you just
36
didn't feel
one
like.
games.
Yeah, right. The 36 one-run games, and then I know there was a bunch of two-run games in there as well. Uh, those are those games that you hear talked about year after year by guys on like MLB Network and ESPN and Baseball America writes about it. Like everybody and their brother that has any kind of baseball knowledge is writing about how the fact that you can take those run-one ball games if you turn half of those around. You can change the entire outlook of your season. You can go from basement dweller to possibly wild card or division winner just by doing something like that. Now, that doesn't it doesn't say that. I'm not saying it's going to happen for the White Sox, right? We're talking about a team that had a 19 game improvement last year. If I could see another 7 to 8, 10 games this year, I think I would be completely happy with that. But I don't know. I think it's just good that we have somebody that, for now, until things progress and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. For now, honestly, it could change in camp. right? We still have a full spring training and camp to go through. So it's just nice to have. So
Yeah. Sox had, by the way, well, I found this stat earlier. They had the worst save percentage. They converted 51%. That's the lowest in the league by a
God, that's
mile.
awful.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean, I knew it
bad.
was bad, but 51%.
24 blown saves, which is 10 off the lead. But in terms of like save opportunities and how many saves they actually got, yeah, 51% save percentage.
Yeah, Jordan
Also,
Leisure.
Uncle Ted brings up Leander Billeroa, and that's another name to watch. Go ahead, Adrian. Sorry.
Jordan Leisure led in saves with 7, I believe. They had Chris
Yeah,
Getz, or not Chris Getz. McGuffey had said that to him during the podcast. He's like, "Yeah, your leader 7." I'm like, "Oh, geez, you said that to him."
yeah, it's rough. It's
Yeah,
rough.
for sure.
Yeah, that's you are not going to. You're not going to go anywhere doing that. Uh-oh. I think we just had a producer check into the
Oh,
studio.
Ian.
So
I see the shout from
he's
Uncle Ted.
probably. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's gonna.
Fixing
He's gonna
your.
yeah, he's gonna fix my mistakes here for not being prepared early in the show. So shout out to our very own Ian Eskridge while he works in the background.
Oh, as soon as I salute.
See you. Bye, Adrian.
Nice knowing you.
Yeah.
I saluted away, I guess.
Yeah, he probably popped in late and saw that and went, "What the F is going on here?" So, yeah, I was a little late getting in and cropping him, Ian, so I apologize. He says fixed. So, thank you for that. Um, there was a comment here. Maybe I'm missing it, but well, I will say this. You know, the big thing now is, and we've brought it up a little bit with outfield. It's kind of a position of need right now, right? And I keep hearing people talk about we need to get something. I know you guys brought up the fact that they might go the route of trade more than sign somebody, and I for one am actually good with that because obviously the free agent market as far as outfielders goes is not one that has a lot of desirables left, at least in the White Sox price range. What we're being told is going to be spent. But as of right now, I asked Jacob this last week. I asked Ian last week also. I wanted to get your thoughts, even though this is probably potentially going to change before opening day, Adrian. But give me your best defensive alignment as the organizational depth stands right now for opening day outfield for the White Sox.
Are we talking about 40-man, or can I do NRIs as well? What are we talking here?
You can absolutely do NRIs.
So defensively, if we're going defensively, Andrew Benintendi's a no, because the Achilles issue, and they don't really want him there. I don't know how that's going to work out with Eric Carroll and all that kind of stuff, which is definitely going to be interesting. Tristan Peters, not that I think he's going to make the team, but I think that just cutting up some of the highlights to post for FutureSox, he's a crazy good outfielder. So wouldn't be surprised if somebody snags that fourth outfielder spot and end up being the best fielder, and that's not Derek Hill. I know they're paying Derek Hill probably the most, but they did trade for Tristan Peters as well. I think Acuna's probably your center fielder, if I had to guess. I know that they, not to go off on a tangent with free agents, but I don't know if you guys saw that Robert Murray had answered my question a little bit about White Sox kind of stuff.
I did see that tweet earlier.
John Hammond confirmed too that they were in on Harrison Bader. So I don't know if it was like a Sir Anthony Dominguez, Harrison Bader kind of thing. But they were definitely in on both. So I don't know if they just missed out. So but I do think Acuna is now probably the answer in center field, because I don't think that there's a lot of really good center field options left in free agency, unless you trade for one. But I don't really know off the top of my head a really good center fielder defensively that you'd get. So, man, this is a tough question.
It's meant to be.
I would say Brooks Baldwin, but I did watch the Nationals replay last night, one of the last games where Sean Burke had threw 4.1 for 10 Ks just to watch it a little bit. And then I saw Brooks Baldwin had made the air and kind of led to a home run and everything. So I don't know if defensively that would necessarily be it. Jarek Kelnick isn't great defensively. Let's see. I would definitely go Acuna center. And then let's see.
Yeah, like give me who do you think, as it is right now, starts for the White Sox opening day?
Yeah, opening day it's gonna be Acuna, Benintendi, Brooks Baldwin probably 100%. Like I would think that's probably locked in unless you make a signing. I would
All
think.
right, now and give me your top like fourth and fifth outfielders, like bench players
If
that
they
you
keep
think as of
if
right
they
now.
keep Jared Kelenic, probably Jared Kelenic, but I like Tristan Peters as well. And like don't sleep on Brandon Montgomery. I don't think like he's going to be up initially, um, but like it could definitely be a Chase Minder out there, Carroll kind of situation where he's coming up super early, like kind of right before that rookie deadline maybe. And then I know you didn't ask, but I think like I was kind of just thinking about this when I was charting everything out, trying to get a 40-man together and all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they moved like I know they were talking about moving Antonacci maybe to left field. I would personally like, I don't know how it would work out with the rest of the lineup, but maybe an Antonacci in left, Acuna in center, Braden and right by July, maybe. I don't know. But that would be like my most ideal kind of thing if they don't sign anybody. I don't know. Them. I just kind of feel the most optimistic about that outcome right there.
Yeah, they also
That's
have like Everson
that's
Pereira
awesome.
too, which is
Oh, I
yeah,
completely
yeah.
Oh my god, I probably I would think center field if anything. I think he's platooning in center field and right field with Acuna.
Well, there are so many quad A outfielders out there. It's hard not to forget at least
Yeah.
one of them.
Well,
Right,
and
right.
Jets had pointed out Pereira too, like especially with defense and in the podcast as well. Like when he was talking about Acuna, he was like, "Yeah, Pereira as well." So like he's in the back of the mind as well. Of course, he wasn't in the back of my mind when I was first saying everything, but yeah, I could definitely expect him being like the fourth. Yeah, it's definitely rough for sure.
Yeah,
Rough's an understatement.
But
it's a question I've been
I
asking specifically for that reason.
I think there's a ton of opportunity. I think that you can look at the glass half empty or half full, but there's definitely an opportunity for somebody to pop, if that makes sense. Like they've had a pitcher pop these past couple years with like Adrian Hauser and that kind of stuff. They can get one of these NRIs to pop on the hitting side now with Ryan Fuller and that kind of thing. I think they could definitely do that.
Perfect.
That's like, and that's I want to get to that real quick because like you start
Yeah,
looking
by
at
all
like
means.
you've four upside guys: Acuna, Pereira's the top 100 prospect, former at least. Baldwin, I think there's some hope there. Like you have so many lottery tickets, like with how little depth there is in the Sox organization in the outfield. Like if you can get one of these guys to hit, it would change kind of the outcome of this rebuild because there are so many guys between, I mean, like I said, Pereira, Acuna, Baldwin. I'm missing one, I'm sure. Peters is kind of interesting. They also have like guys, Drew Baker's still in the system, I believe. He was acquired last year. Um, there's enough of these guys where, like, if they can just get one of them to somehow hit, it would be great because the outfield depth, like, and we've talked about this, like, they're going to move the infielders out to the outfield, but if you can get an actual outfielder to hit, that'd be great. So I don't necessarily hate the lottery ticket approach. I mean, listen, it sounds crazy to say, but like it's an improved outfield from last year. Like you're in a situation where like Robert wasn't playing anyway. Like right field, I mean, I guess you're losing Talkman, which hurts, but like you could go still resign Talkman. Like he's still a free agent. I think they still might do that, but I don't know. Like I think it's got an opportunity to be an improved outfield from last year or so. And the offense was good last year in the second half.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, what has been a extremely difficult product to watch the last couple of years. The second half kind of gave a lot of us a little bit of something to look forward to. The youth movement coming up, actually making some things happen, winning some games that maybe just 2 months, or a month before, going back before the All-Star break, you would think, looking at them on the schedule, you would go, there's no chance that these guys are going to win this series. And then they go out and they either win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 or even sweep a series here and there in the second half. Just kind of gave you the feeling of like that stigma of the old regime where there was a lot of whispers of in-house fighting and cliques in the clubhouse and guys just not kind of coming together and melding. You felt like that was probably going away, and guys were kind of pulling together, and you got the feeling that Will Venable was starting to pull the best out of some of these guys and, changing the culture. So that is always going to be something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on in the first half of this season. Obviously, we're going to be looking at some more of the young guys make their way through the system this year as well too. So that gives me it gives me hope, right? We talk about all the organizational changes that Chris Getz has kind of implemented since becoming the GM, additions in personnel, additions in tech, additions in scouting, all these things that we look at, a change in philosophy in the international market. It's all just moves in the right direction, even if the win column doesn't necessarily show that particular movement in the right direction right away, at least not in giant groups of wins, you know what I mean, where we're seeing huge improvements in the win column. I would it's suffice to say, I think that they're moving in the right direction in just about every way, including the product on the field. It's not happening as fast as a lot of people would like it, but the product on the field has become more interesting to watch and actually sit through a game. I found myself changing the channel and turning the game off less often in the second half last year. And I hate to say that as a podcaster who's been doing this for 6 or 7 years now. It's especially like Jake and I who have been covering the major league club as opposed to guys like Adrian and Elijah and Ian and James, who they have I would say the privilege of being able to coverage the prospects more right now, because it is when you consider the prospects over what's been going on with the MLB club, it's been more of a privilege to watch those guys grow and be able to talk about that on a daily basis. So as guys like Jacob and I who are doing MLB centric shows, it is refreshing to see where we're going. So before we wrap things up here tonight, guys, is there anything that either one of you would like to get off your chests or talk about at all? Adrian, you got anything that you would like to bring up?
Hopefully they sign somebody soon. Maybe another outfielder or something like that. I know that Robert Murray had said he got a maybe on Michael Conforto, and John Heyman had that a week ago or something like that. We actually had that first. We FutureSox actually learned that one first a couple weeks ago. If you guys are reading, that was awesome to have in the story and everything like that. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping there's a little bit more movement. We should get NRIs soon. I would think before Sox Fest. I have a piece coming out tomorrow about some of the NRIs and just some prospect notes and stuff like that. So hopefully the NRIs maybe come out a little bit after that, so that people can read the story a little bit.
Yeah, right. Timing's everything.
Yeah, timing is everything. But yeah, so I'm just really excited to probably head out to spring training too at some point. I don't really know what date yet, but yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, stick around because I do have one more thing I want to. Cool. Well, actually, a couple more things I want to get from you. But Jake, really quickly, anything else you wanted to add tonight?
I won't get into this in hot takes or heaters because it's neither. But I would just like to mention that it was around this time last year that we started hearing about Tommy John surgeries, and I would really appreciate it if the number was under 9. That would be absolutely fantastic.
I don't like 9, man. I want to shoot for under 9, man.
Yeah, I would appreciate 0 if we could get there.
Last year? I remember tweeting out a list.
Yeah, it was 9.
Was it 9 last year? Was it exactly 9?
Yeah,
it was 9 guys that ended up with TJ. It was between the end of the regular season and between opening day. There was 9 guys that ended up crazy with Tommy John. Some of those had probably sustained those injuries during in season the year before. I know 1 or 2 of them were not full on tears that they were just trying to get ahead of, when you get that impingement or the throwing arm soreness, and I'll throw up the air quotes on that one, and guys just bite the bullet and get that done. But yeah, 9 different White Sox pitchers throughout different levels of the organization with Tommy John. So yeah, we're hoping that number is much lower this year. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and bust the bubble. Maybe I should let Jake do it. This was your brainchild last year. Do you want to go ahead and tell the folks about what we have planned and what we're going to ask of Adrian before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, let's do it. So listen, we have a privilege here of like during the season we're actually on doing this podcast while games are on. So I figured let's do a bingo card, right? Like let's cross stuff off throughout the season, make a bunch of predictions. Everybody in the chat, we're gonna need you. Uh, we'll make a bingo card. We'll figure out what we're doing with it, and yeah, maybe we'll just sit here during the show and cross stuff out every week, whatever we want to do. See if we can't hit bingo. Maybe we'll black out. Who knows? So yeah, I think it'd be a fun stuff to keep kind of us interactive with the chat. And Adrian, I want to get you will be the honorary first person to add something to the bingo card that does not exist yet, but will soon.
Oh, well, it's a great honor. First, definitely happy to be a part of it. Definitely want to participate. Hopefully, I cheat a little bit. I told you guys I had two before, so I guess I'll dish out my two.
We'll take them both, buddy.
Yeah, I was actually lucky enough to like a week or so ago, Chuck Garfine, I took my hot take a couple for his hot takes podcast, so that was pretty cool. So I'm gonna steal one from there. I don't know if you guys want to argue the number, maybe if you guys want to do the fiddle with the number, maybe, but I'm gonna go 20 plus homers from Miguel Vargas. That's gonna be my, I guess, hot take or bingo card kind of thing. I think that has a good chance of happening. I think that there's been a lot of hype. I know there's been some discourse maybe about it, about you know, just him in general. But there's been a bunch of like, particularly like fantasy baseball sites that have pointed him out just with like a lot of the underlying like Statcast kind of stuff, and that stuff is super telling. Like just to me, like when fantasy people get ahead of it, I know like Stocks in the Basement say it too. Like I love listening to their podcast too. They usually say like when fantasy guys get in front of stuff, like you should get in front of stuff as well. They got in front of Tanner McDougal last year, like just prospect wise. I'm going to trust some of the fantasy stuff with Miguel Vargas.
Though he had 16 last year, so
Yeah, it's not a big jump. It's 4 more, so full season.
All right, and then you said you had a second.
Oh yeah, so this is a little bit more of my hotter take. I don't know. Again, might have to fiddle around with like the terminology of this one. But I kind of got inspired by, again, was watching the Nationals game where Sean Burkett threw like 4.1. There was an opener in that game, so I didn't want to say like a start, but they have used language to kind of extend Grant Taylor. So I wouldn't say necessarily a start, but maybe an appearance over 2 innings, whether that's a start or say, hey, they're at the end of the year, there's no more arms, go give us 4 and go give us 10 Ks or something like that. I could definitely see something like that happening. So maybe officially Grant Taylor appearance over 2 innings is my guess.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, those are very good. Sorry, I'm writing them down. Also, shout out Uncle Ted. 75 home runs for Colson and Mooney is kind of fun. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, those are. I mean, it's cool if we can hit that number like in season, but those are more like end of season numbers. And and I don't get me wrong, like we can do a whole prediction show here coming up. I usually save that for like within a week or two of, starting the season. But I felt like with the bingo cards that we're kind of looking for stuff that we can cross out along the way, right? So don't get me wrong. Like if we hit any of those numbers before the season ends, that's awesome. But and here's the thing, guys. We may figure out a way to turn this into a contest where we've got some giveaways and some prizes and stuff as well too. So, we'll figure that out as we go. It's kind of been in talks between Jake and I, and we'll definitely have some things. I know Jake said he's got a bobblehead that he may put out there. I have some FutureSox gear here that I will include, and some sticker packets and mini pendants and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, we'll try to make it fun as possible for everybody involved. So keep your eye on that. And the only thing I ask is if you are not following FutureSox already, go ahead and do that, because if you want to be involved in any kind of giveaways, the rules are going to be typical of any other thing. You need to be following us. You need to be following both Jacob and I, your hosts of the show that came up with this. And you can hit us up with official squares that you might want to see on our Twitter pages or at the FutureSox Twitter page / X page, and we'll pick some of our favorite ones to throw on a bingo card as well.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that a lot. Sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, you're good. You're absolutely good. I was just gonna say we're at the hour mark here. I think we should put a bow on it, and we're gonna go ahead and give Adrian a chance to give us his first ever hot take or heater to end the show.
Well, one before, does the growl count if from baseball talks if it's against us? Does Schifrin growl if it's against us? You think?
Yeah. So if Robert hits a home run against us, Griffin growls. What is? There's that. I feel like you win.
Right?
Like yeah. It has to be.
That's interesting.
Or like, is there anybody else that
might be my hot take that he growls even if it's against us? I don't know. No, I guess my hot take would be that Grant Taylor, and I think that Grant Taylor thing. I think that Grant Taylor will get extended a little bit, and that eyes towards starting in 2027.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And before we go on to Jake's hot take or heater, I did want to point out this Jamie Lewis checking in. He says when Lou Bob goes on the IL, we won the trade. I was a little critical of that trade, obviously, very loudly about it, actually. But it wasn't because I was mad that they traded Robert or that they, got Luis Angel Acuna. Golly, I cannot talk. And Truman Pauly. It was more of just the way this organization goes about things and spends money. Trust me, I get the math on saving the $2 million buyout on Robert and being able to dump his entire salary. But I do believe the White Sox in general have won that trade kind of already for the simple fact that we did dump that salary and that we did get two controllable players, younger players with some potential to have some upside, whether or not that happens. But the fact is, Jake mentioned it earlier, and he mentioned it on his Locked On, his time on Locked On yesterday, that as far as the money being spent after trading Luis Robert Jr. on Sir Anthony Dominguez, that Sir Anthony Dominguez might actually hold more value for this team than Luis Robert did. Just in the simple fact that we might be able to shore up a lot of those 1 and 2 run games late in so as long as I'll say this, if Dominguez gets somewhere, if he gets more than 7 saves, which was the leader for the White Sox last year, I say it's a win. Okay. How about that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And Acuna being like a decent everyday starter would be nice.
Yeah,
Acuna could be like a 2-win player. That'd be great.
I would include also whoever. I would include Sir Anthony Dominguez in the trade return as well. You got $20 million freed up in that. I know you got that. Whoever else you get with that $10 million, hopefully, or whatever that is, I think you should also include that in the trade return. That's just my thought.
You almost have to, because if that money's not available, that signing never happens, right? So.
And also, whatever they trade Dominguez for in the future, that's also
exactly. I think I commented on your post. I think they get more potentially. If he, I know we're going a little long here, but I think a mediocre Dominguez gets more than a mediocre Robert would. If he's hitting 1 something compared to him having a 5 ERA, I think especially with some of the postseason stats he's had, I think somebody's going to give you a flyer at least on him and pay the contract. I think it's something like that.
100%.
All right, Jake, why don't you go ahead and give us your hot take or heater? I know what it's going to be already, but go ahead and
hit the drum, right? Yeah, the White Sox signed someone this week. My guess.
You didn't give me that chance to not.
White Sox signed a free agent this week. Come on.
I thought it was going to be the name.
No, he always says the White Sox they're gonna pick somebody up one way or the other.
Oh, I gotcha.
Free agent trade, however it works out, the White Sox are going to bring in somebody.
I like the sound effect. That's awesome production right there. That was awesome.
Hey, listen, we've had the most active offseason in a long time, and Jake has been doing this pretty regularly, so we're gonna keep on with it. The off season is all because of Jacob Thome.
There it
You
is.
can you
There
can
it
you can
is.
thank Jacob Thome for Sir Anthony Dominguez. You can thank him for Mooney Munataki or Mooney Murakami. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't just yeah, Munataka. Golly, you know what?
Just
Never
call
mind.
Mune.
Mooney. We got Mooney. You know, K. All those guys. Sean Newcomb. You know, go down the list. Whatever. All the moves that have been made, they're all thanks to Jacob Thome. So we appreciate you. My hot taker heater this week is just going to be I've said it before. I'm going to use it again. Chris Getz continues to just do things that we have not seen out of a GM in a long time. And it is going to be my hot take. I say it over and over again. I was a little tough on him early on in his tenure. My knock on him was that he was hired because Jerry Reinsdorf said he was going to be the one that could turn this. He owed it to the fans to turn this thing around quickly. It hasn't happened quickly, but I feel like it's happening in the right way. So my hat's off to Chris Getz once again. And I think we'll call it a night from there, boys. What do you think?
Want to shout out to us real quick, Willie Abreu. I have mocked him to the Sox, I think, all offseason. It started with Shane Smith, and it's gone from there. It was like Shane Smith, Lenny Sosa, and Corey Lee, I think, was the original like trio I gave up. But if it ends up being like Burke, Caro, and Sosa, I think would be fun too. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
All right, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. As always, our chatters are awesome. Shout out to our super chatters. We always appreciate the support. For those of you who cannot support us financially with super chats, if you do like the content, please go ahead and hit that like button, smash it, break your keyboard. Don't break your keyboard. They're expensive. Not really, but you know what I mean. Subscribe. If you're really a fan of the content, go ahead and become a member of our channel here on YouTube. You'll get some exclusives there. Also, our merch is up and available, and you'll find that on our YouTube channel as well as Foursquare. You guys go ahead and check that out. Ian did some legwork on that. He definitely made sure to make the t-shirts on the cheaper side, so they're more affordable. If you guys want to go ahead and give us a little bit of advertisement by wearing a Future Sox t-shirt, we'd much appreciate that as well. Adrian, since you are our guest tonight, why don't you go ahead and tell the folks what you have coming up and where they can find you?
Yeah, I got an article coming out tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll get some more stuff out as spring training approaches. At Adrian White Sox on Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I'm helping out with the social media side and helping out with the writing stuff. Trying to get more involved with everything. Trying to be the best source possibly can for White Sox stuff. So I really appreciate you guys having me.
Kudos to you. It's been a goal of ours for a little bit now. We're a little bit behind, but we've been talking about featuring some of our other members, specifically our bloggers. You have been pumping out some fantastic quality content, and it is much appreciated, as well as your appearance on some of the other shows as well. So we felt like it was time to get you on with us. Thanks for coming in and checking in with us tonight and giving us your opinions on all the subjects that we covered this evening. You can also find Adrian on with Elijah every now and again on the I swear I'm just losing my mind. On Elijah and Dylan's podcast with a rotating Jeff Cohen. Triple A Jeff Cohen is the it is the Future Sox Roundup podcast. You can find James and Ian on Sunday nights doing the Future Sox podcast as well. For our written content and anything else, you can find a lot of that on our website at futuresox.net. And as you'll see coming up here shortly, we're going to have some of our rankings come out. We'll do some prospect highlights as well. A lot of those will be behind an exclusive paywall for a $2 monthly Patreon donation. Again, thanks everybody for checking in. My name is Danny Miller at Danny Miller FS on X/Twitter. For my co-host Jacob Thome, JThome21 on X. We appreciate you guys. We will be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Jacob has prior engagements, so
No, that's incorrect.
Kev-
I will be here next week. I told you wrong. We'll talk about it after the show. But I will be here next week. Shocker.
Okay, well, Jacob will be here next week, but
Out
in
of
that
left
case,
field.
we will have another guest then because I've already confirmed it with him. But we'll be bringing on editor in chief of Future Sox, the one and only Mr. James Fox will be joining us next week. So you guys come in and check us out then. Until next Wednesday, and as always, we appreciate you guys and go White Sox.